Hello all, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to the newest episode of the Noobs and Knockouts podcast, taped live at the Twitch at Noobs and Knocks Pod, as well as being available, of course, on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Austin.
Those are my plugs.
Hey, we do that. You can do it at the end too now.
Okay,
But we can bookend it.
Okay,
I'm Austin. I'm a knockout. Watched a lot of wrestling.
I'm David. I'm a noob. Haven't watched nearly as much wrestling, but sometimes I actually have watched the wrestling, and I have the distinct pleasure of talking about it twice.
Yes. So once again, we have had technical issues and had to re-record an episode.
Technical issues on this show? Say it ain't so.
Right.
This whole show is a technical issue.
Like, boy, don't I feel like an American idiot. All right.
Oh my God.
I don't think I can do it again. I don't think I can
relevant anymore.
Right. So for context to that joke is that last time we recorded this episode was we recorded this last week, and that week I'd also been to see the Hella Mega Tour concert in Columbus, where I live. And so I made a Green Day reference, a Fall Out Boy reference, and a Weezer reference. And now that VOD is lost forever. And
Yep.
I'm sad that because I think I put a lot of work into that. So there is me trying it again, but the magic is gone. So
Yeah.
well,
you know what?
I will probably not try to force references again.
I can't fault you for wanting to try to recapture the magic a little bit. I was very proud of you the first time around.
Yeah. Anyway, so what we recorded last time was we watched the next episode of Lucha Underground. Season 1, episode 19. Yes, 19. Grave Consequences. It was pretty great, but before we get to that, I want to keep the format of our re-recorded episodes roughly the same as our normal episodes, so we're going to cover what happened before.
Yep.
And the last time we were in Lucha Underground for the benefit of people who may not have been following us the entire way through.
Yeah.
So the big storyline going into Grave Consequences is the titular match. Mil Muertes versus Fenix.
Oh boy.
A lot of life v death, except it's also a love triangle with the sexy ghost lady. Involved.
Yeah, a whole lot of psychosexual tension going on here. It makes us all slightly uncomfy, but you know that's how we do here on Lucha.
Again, because of another storyline going on right now, there's only so uncomfortable I can get with the Mil and Katrina stuff.
Yeah, that is true.
Because at least I don't feel like I'm supposed to be cheering Mil Muertes being an asshole.
Yeah, you know what? When you put it that way, it's a lot better than whatever the hell is going on with that whole Son of Havoc thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just kind of thought of it is that like. The love triangle is kind of perfectly positioned is because you could argue that being a sexy ghost lady is arguably somewhere between life and death because she's not alive, but, she's not, just gone.
Yeah, that's not wrong. I do really appreciate the way they've kind of aggressively themed and branded this feud as 1,000 lives versus 1,000 deaths. They kind of had to lean in more on the idea of like a literal phoenix than they have than they have in the past with Phoenix for other non-Mil related things.
Yeah,
but like I do appreciate the fact that they have kind of made it this very distinct imagery, and not to get too like basic bitch understanding of culture, but like imagery that's pretty stark and standard to a Hispanic audience.
Yeah, like it's a really cool it's really cool metaphor, especially in Lucha Underground where it's not really metaphor even because Mil is definitely a zombie guy.
Yeah.
Even if Phoenix isn't literally a phoenix, usually.
This is the thing. The thing with Lucha is like because I know how good they are at setting up story, like when they want to have like something really good, I want to see every time a story is remotely interesting to me, more than any other wrestling show, I really, really, really want to see it like play out to its fullest possible extent, and this is no exception. There's so many like tantalizing bits to this that are just small and subtle, and probably not even like super intentionally placed there. They're just kind of incidental that I still really want to like follow through on. I want to know, like, again, I mentioned how the last time we were here, we had that promo where Katrina appeared to Mil Muertes when he was in the locker room, and like we saw Mil putting his mask on. I want to know what's under that mask. I want to know like kind of what drove Katrina more specifically into Fenix's arms specifically. I want to see some sort of like mythological side to the life versus death fight. I want to see this go like all out, and I know we don't have time to. But the storytelling in this show is so good that like I want every story to be like laid out to its fullest possible extent, because there's so many little like cracks here that just have my imagination ablaze.
Oh yeah, and I do think we're gonna get a little more into the lore stuff with them. Okay, I know we will. Thinking back on it, I know that that's gonna continue to be bonkers.
Okay, that's dope.
But for now, it is a situation of like Katrina has been macking on Fenix for reasons we don't quite know. I want to say, you could argue it could be implied that it's because Mil is kind of abusive, but
I don't even think it's that.
The show doesn't try to paint it. Yeah, the show doesn't frame it that way.
I mean, the way they kind of frame it is like Katrina. God, it almost reads like a hypergamy thing of like Katrina's getting tired of Mil, like, oh, I don't want to play with you anymore, and she sees Fenix as, for some reason, the one who can stand up and be a true competitor to Mil, and that like turns her on, and she's like, yeah, I want me a piece of that. That's kind of what it seems to be implied, and like that's fine as a motivation, but God, I want more. I want it to be deeper than that. Like normally, it's so funny the way I react to Lucha Underground versus the way I react to other stuff we watch, because like for a lot of other the wrestling shows, I would see that motivation and I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. Is it a little hokey? Sure, but I like the simplicity. Here, I wanted to get like needlessly in depth and like just explore every corner of this drama and lore and like silly, goofy, supernatural bullshit.
Yeah, I feel like Lucha Underground is the one place I hate to say that I do kind of enjoy that lore heavy bullshit in a way that I understand that not a lot of wrestling fans are not of that kind of opinion, but I like the stupid lore bullshit, and I feel like Lucha Underground is a rare place where they're willing to explore that and make it in a way that doesn't feel stupid.
Well, okay, when you say a lot of wrestling fans are not a huge fan of that, would you say that is it like specifically in relation to Lucha or just on a broad level?
On a broader level.
See, here's the thing, though.
I kind of look at it of like, especially if by lore we're also getting into this realm of supernatural bullshit. Like that's a very polarizing aspect of wrestling. Like The Undertaker is probably like the only universally beloved character that falls on that realm of like spooky bullshit. And even then, how much people tolerate The Undertaker varies a lot.
Yeah, and there was a period where he just became like a biker, and that's it.
Yeah, but like I like when I say that kind of stuff, like I think of like how people think of the Fiend, and I'm like, yeah, like in Lucha Underground, that's a beloved character almost universally, but in WWE, a different environment, there's as many people love it as many people hate it.
Yeah, but I feel like for Lucha specific, fan of that on a broad level, I feel like if it were like these wrestling fans and they weren't familiar with Lucha and then they watched the Lucha and saw the like lore, I feel like they'd be more amenable to it, because the way Lucha presents itself, and we've talked about this before, but like the way Lucha presents itself is so starkly different from the rest of like kind of the world of wrestling, in that it really leans into the fact that it's fictional. Like obviously there's the live fighting in front of an audience aspect to it, but like if it deliberately formats itself in a way that it basically every week turns to the camera and goes, we are telling you a very fictional story,
Yeah.
and you just get the pleasure of watching the fight scenes live. So it feels more like not prestige drama, but like, you know, B-level B-level like supernatural TV drama rather than like reality TV like the rest of wrestling does. So like the supernatural is allowed for so much more because they just treat kayfabe so differently.
Yeah, it doesn't pretend to be like a legitimate fighting sport, and it doesn't ground itself in enough realism that like spooky bullshit can like feel weird and out of place. They're like, no, what? Fuck it. We got zombie boy, Phoenix guy, dragon guy.
Yeah.
What does it matter?
All of them literal.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah. So that's why I'm able to get so much out of like Mil versus Phoenix, and why I'm so like, oh my god, I want more of this this supernatural lore to come in, because I don't know, it is so fascinating, and I trust Lucha Underground to make it compelling, because that's what they do really well. They make the story beats surrounding the fighting really compelling. They make it aesthetically compelling. They make it narratively compelling. They make the characters really compelling. And it's something you have an active desire to delve more into that, because it's like a supernatural serialized B show sort of thing. And it works so well. That's obviously like big strength of Robert Rodriguez and his periphery. So everything about this feud I love so far, and we'll talk more about it later. But
yeah. And then we also had Big Ryck and Sexy Star, because in Dario Cueto's 5D chess attempts to take out everybody that he hates without them realizing he's doing that, he pit Big Ryck against Sexy Star, where the winner would ostensibly get a fight the crew, because the crew had tried to hurt them both. And he's clearly hoping that Big Ryck takes out Sexy Star, and then this crew take out Big Ryck, and he wins.
Yep, pretty much. Pretty straightforward. It's been a wild ride thus far. The crew I've been on a slow like warm up to them. They don't compel me as much as some other aspects of this show. But I do really enjoy the kind of dimension that's added to it with the Big Ryck Sexy Star thing. Especially after they had the audacity to knock out my faves Pimpinella and Masquerita Sagrada.
Damn right.
I am still so salty about that, and so salty that was when I realized that they're both like basically jobbers.
Sorry.
I love them so much. Pimpinella deserves better. Anyway, and there's of course always the added intrigue of Dario being like, hey, I can set this all up for you in my illegal fight club for you to hash out your differences in ring. How about it, baby?
With all that in mind, Big Ryck and Sexy Star doesn't really go the way Dario would have wanted in that sense, because the story of that match is that Big Ryck fights Sexy Star with kid gloves on, and to their credit, it doesn't feel like they played that off as he did that because she's a woman, and that's the kind of relevant conversation. Considering other intergender matches that happen in these series of episodes, it's worth mentioning that. They
at least to me, it feels like they play it off more like, you know, just please get out of my way. I don't feel like hurting you.
Yeah,
I wanted to, but I just like legitimately don't feel like it. I just want to deal with the crew.
Right, it's a situation where Big Ryck is literally quite large, and Sexy Star is an average female athlete size. So he's like, I can destroy you if I wanted to, but I don't really want to because I like you well enough. Just let me win. And, you know, it's fine. It works pretty well. They end it with an explicitly, he goes down to slam her. Then he decides to change his mind and just like physically restrain her shoulders to pin her. And so Big Ryck taking on the crew, which does happen on episode 19 in Grave Consequences.
Yes. I mean, in a way, this almost fits into the theme of the episode with the title like Grave Consequences, because it is a reckoning of sorts. This is Ryck getting his chance to avenge himself on the crew. It obviously doesn't have as high stakes as Mil versus Fenix, as someone's gonna end up fucking dead by the end.
Right.
But it does fit in rather thematically well, which is something I didn't really notice last time we talked about this. It's always kind of the added benefit of, like, you know, as much as it sucks to have technical issues, sometimes getting to reevaluate the stuff, you notice little things. But yeah, the my journey with kind of warming up to, you know, more stock characters like Big Ryck and the crew has been one that's led me to really looking forward to this match. And as we'll talk about, you know, when we're kind of actually dissecting the matches, it did turn out to be a really good one.
Yeah. And then we had Tejano and Alberto El Patron. El Patron still not in jail, keeping with your real world updates in 2021. But anyway,
no, we introduced that when we first did this. Yeah, audience, we're gonna, every time Alberto Patron / Alberto Del Rio is mentioned on this show, we are gonna add a new segment. Is Alberto El Patron in jail yet? The answer is probably gonna continue to be no for a long time. Unfortunately,
gonna be no for a while.
Domestic abusers still have a bad track record of actually facing justice.
Yes. Anyway, on to the match. I said this the last two times I've had to talk about this, but they did a really good job making it feel like they really hated each other and were trying to hurt each other. And then it ends when they introduced the bull rope, which Tejano pulled a great little trickaroo where he pulled the turnbuckle pad off, and the rest like, hey, wait, what are you doing? And then Tejano's like, oh, okay, sorry. Mm-hmm. And then while the ref has to take the time to go put that back on, he go grabs his bullwhip.
I still can't believe I got bamboozled by that. I just remember being so like, oh my god, the ref actually noticed the turnbuckle pad being taken off. They never know. Oh god. Oh, come on. I still can't believe I got hornswoggled by that little bit of fucking trickery, but here we are. Oh, fuck you, Tejano.
Yeah, so Tejano, he gets his bullwhip, but then then El Patron turns the tables on him, and eventually it ends when Alberto El Patron gets DQ'd because he hits Tejano with the bull rope and just beats the fuck out of him with it.
Yeah,
and to the point that people try to come break it up, and he just starts swinging the rope around it and threaten to hit other people.
Yeah, he's really like, it's still so funny to see just how different he's played versus how he was in WWE, of just like, he's this like big oaf who like sometimes gets legitimate moments.
He never feels this vicious in WWE.
he gets vicious. I mean, this is his people. He's like a cultural hero of the time, so you know, we're all big on that, and he's really like riding it high. It's just so funny to see, like, to see Lucha Underground actually put the audience in a mindset of like paying actual respect to this man.
Yeah. So it is one of those situations where Tejano won the match, but you know, was he the real winner?
Yeah,
the answer would be no.
No. He ended up with some pretty red marks from that bull rope. Although I could see him like reveling in it as like a Joker thing of like, ha, you sunk to my level. This is all it. This proves my point that all it takes is one bad day. Yeah.
One bad day.
I could see Tejano like Joker posting about this, honestly.
Yeah.
But also Del Rio's a little too unhinged at this point to feel like a proper Batman. So who knows how the dynamic really feels.
Yeah. I'll take the time in between episodes because we covered 2 last time we did Lucha Underground, to talk about the one thing that happened that didn't really pay off in a match, is the stuff with Prince Puma and Conan, where Conan got 2 vignettes where he's hanging out in the rain in a warehouse and beating up on random dudes, and he reforges the cane hopefully stronger than the one that he broke against Cage's back. But he's out. Revenge will be had by Conan.
Every time okay, this is kind of a random question, but just I associate every time I hear, is that name supposed to be like evocative of Conan the Barbarian?
I don't know. I've always kind of assumed that was actually just his real name. Let me look that up.
Oh, okay.
I've never really thought about his name,
because like it feels like it appropriate to an appropriate thing to evoke, you know.
That might be what he's thinking. That might, considering he did make it up. That might have been that might have been. Oh my God, yeah, it kind of was. It was he was Conan El Barbaro.
Hey,
and then he shortened it to Conan.
Oh, who called it? I called it.
I am impressed that you called out why his name is Conan.
Because I was thinking that I'm like, because I hear that name and I'm like, it's Arnie, but like I wasn't sure. So yeah, he and barbarism he does seem to be wanting to do. He's a big old boy and he seems big mad about some big things.
Yeah, and meanwhile we get Prince Puma punching a heavy bag, you know, being mad, and El Patron. This happened before El Patron's match with Tejano. He was like, you're gonna need to get angry if you want to beat Cage, and if you do beat Cage, you got me to worry about. I'm next.
Yeah.
So staking his claim to the title, assuming Puma gets past the man who is not a man but is in fact a machine.
Which the fact that they set that up that way does make this story really interesting to follow. This is kind of an irrelevant thing to talk about for this episode because, spoiler alert, we don't really get anything with either of these storylines in this episode. But it is going to be interesting to see how that makes this whole thing pay off, because like pitching Alberto El Patron up against either Cage or Puma, probably Puma, feels like, I mean, to put it in a pretty modern perspective, it feels like a stroke you do with something to the effect of like CM Punk versus Adam Page, of like you have this big, well-established dude who's had a victorious return to the fold, and he's gonna face down like top hero boy.
I do see that comparison when you put it like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Troubled hero boy at that. So it does make you think like it could come out, you know, with Puma still on top, but there's also at this point no way in hell they're letting Puma get out of this unscathed. Cage is like the Incredible Hulk. He's getting angrier and angrier every single time he goes up against this little shit, and he keeps like getting like roiding out even harder because of that. And now we have Conan in the mix, who I am, you know, have just been guessing for a hot second now that he's gonna just Judas Iscariot the fuck out of Puma and try to call for, you know, try to take the title for himself. So I don't know how this is gonna turn out. I don't obviously have a time machine to let me go back to the writer's room, so I don't know how much this was intentional. But God, this show does such a good job at like setting up all of these really plausible avenues down which their plot could go. And it does make things really bamboozling and keep things from getting predictable a lot of the time.
Yeah, for sure. Then we move into the second episode we had talked about with it starts with Pentagon Jr. and Arhennis, where Pentagon gets another victory, but it isn't really as much of a squash match as he's had before. Arhennis puts up a pretty good fight.
Yeah. That which like is still kind of funny. Like they let Arhennis have a little more dignity than that, but still rip his arm.
Yeah, Pentagon sacrifices another arm to his Dark Master.
Yep.
We do not yet know what Pentagon's end goal is here.
I mean, he's clearly a solid arm collection. Duh.
He's also here to write all the jobbers out of the show.
Yeah, that does seem like a slightly like weird move on Jesus, the
Underground's
show's
part?
part, the show's part, whatever. The Lucha Underground's part. Dear God, folks, you must excuse my many brain farts. It does feel like a weird, like they're just shelving their entire jobber roster by in kayfabe hospitalizing them. Like, why? Why are we getting rid of all the like? Because here's the thing: this is the one show where I actively like jobbers. I enjoy all of the jobbers here. So why are we sending all of them to several months on bye oopsie I got hurt leave?
At least we still have Superfly.
Well, I feel like Superfly's. Wait, didn't Superfly also get his arm sacrificed to the arm god?
No, not Superfly.
Okay.
He's fine.
Well, I'm sure he'll be on the chopping block soon enough. I really want to imagine, and I know this is not going to happen. I really want to imagine that this is all going to culminate in an episode where like all of the jobbers are out of the hospital and they're real pissed that they've like all like basically had to be bedfellows together, and they like Les Mis style like revolution revolt up in the temple of like, hey, fuck you, we're gonna and then just kind of like storm shit and start wrecking everywhere. I would love that so much if that happened.
Not in the same way that you're thinking, but I will say.
Wait, what?
When it comes to Pentagon's victims deciding to kick his ass for it.
Wait
for it.
But here's the thing. I'm also including Masquerita and Pimpinella in this too, because they also, unrelated, got jobber hospitalized, so they got to be in on this too, and they're not Pentagon victims.
Yeah,
damn it.
It's going to be a while before we come to that, but I will say that like Pentagon has like incurred the wrath of the people. He does end up incurring the wrath of the people that he breaks the arms of.
Why am I so good? You know what? At this point, I'm usually not an egotistical person. Give me the fucking wrestling writers room. I'm so good at booking this shit. Come on, give me the job. It's so clear at this point. I booked a better ending to Summer of Punk than Vince ever could have shat out. I'm able to predict stuff like this. I'm just too good. My brain is too big. It must not be constrained by such tiny matters as fantasy book. I must do the real booking. Damn it!
How does he do it? How does he know?
No. 800 IQ. I see through the veil. I did just kind of have my own Mosh freak out moment of like, how does he do?
Yes.
As soon as I saw the look on your face, I was describing it. I was like, "Oh, please tell me that I'm actually like on the money with it." Because I was just throwing that out as like wouldn't that be funny if we got like, "Do you hear the people sing?" Just like one episode, but Lee.
Yeah, we do get it as much as a wrestling show is going to do that.
You know what? I'm still waiting on my musical episode. Where is my musical? Actually,
funny enough is that PWG has a show called PWG the Musical. I don't think it was a musical, but they did name it like that for a joke.
Well, what the hell, you cowards? Make it an actual musical.
Back to Lucha Underground. PWG is later in this show's run.
Oh.
And by this show, I mean our show, not Lucha Underground.
Well, I very much look forward to it. And if we cover
PWG... No, there is crossover because they're both indie companies in Southern California. So, there is some crossover of talents.
Crossover episode. That excites me.
Anyway, then we get Angelico and Ivelisse. So what happened here is that Ivelisse, after beating Angelico one time, she went to Dario and was like, "I want a shot at the title." And Dario's like, "No, that's stupid." What? No.
Incorrect.
Even though she tries to say she is the baddest bitch in the building. And Dario's like, yes,
I know.
I've heard it.
That moment is still so good. Yeah, the baddest bitch. I know.
So Dario decides that there was just too much shenanigans with Son of Havoc. And so the only way to stop there from being more shenanigans is to have Son of Havoc be in the match. So he is the special guest referee. And God, I have to explain this a third time. Actually, no, I'm not going to explain the full bit, but I'll just say is the match was really gross because they did a lot of like sex position stuff jokes with Ivelisse and Angelico that were played for laughs, and you're supposed to think that Angelico is the good guy, even though Ivelisse comes off way more sympathetic here because as much as she is a bitch and a bad girlfriend to Son of Havoc, she still doesn't really deserve to deal with this dude perving on her at work. So, but it ends when Son of Havoc basically screws Ivelisse out of the win because Angelico it's not a 69 pin, it's just like a crawl over. It's a crawl over pin done sexily. But he crawls over Ivelisse, and so Son of Havoc's like, fuck it. Quick count 3 pins, so he has an excuse to throw Angelico off. But their issues are not over.
That's one of my very favorite, like, really niche tropes is the like crooked ref like bumbling his way into actually like screwing the people he's supposed to be in the tank for.
Yeah, because we saw that with old Danny Davis in Primetime Wrestling too.
Yep.
Screw the Hearts, you're right.
I've probably seen that 1 or 2 other times too, although I can't remember off the top of my head. But like, I love that that's like an actual trope because I mean that's how you have to play it sometimes, and it's a great little comedy bit that you just like you can't help but like things like, oh, that's so cute, you know, you did the dumb. Look at you.
Yeah, you fool.
And
then
congratulations, you played yourself.
And then our final match of the last 2 episodes before we get to the one we're going to go in more depth on. We had King Cuerno and Prince of Puma in a steel cage match, and it was really good. Definitely a top. Honestly, I was going to say it actually isn't my favorite cage match. It doesn't even come close to it. We've just been watching so many good cage matches. I can't even be like, this is the greatest cage match we've seen on this show because I don't even agree to that. But it is really, really good. It's a nice blow off to everything, to their like aggressively quick feud because Queen Cuerno was like, I'm going to start hunting you, Mundo. And we can only assume it's because Mundo wears furs. We can only assume that's why Big Game Hunter is targeting Mundo specifically.
Yeah.
He thinks Mundo is an animal, I guess.
I did this bit last time, but someone should really check his glasses. I'm really worried about his eyesight. There, you get the trimmed down version of it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's we get a really good match between them. Mundo does win when he decides to, when he could have left by escaping the cage because they use both rule sets where you can either pin the guy or you can escape the cage. But he gets up to the top and he's like, you know what? Fuck this guy. So he dives off the top of the cage and then he pins him and wins. Yeah.
The fuck this guy mentality is really strong with Johnny Mundo always. He just kind of has that fuck this guy energy. And I really appreciate it. Talk about a man who does parkour, and yet he doesn't let parkour be his only defining character trait. He also has spite.
Yep. Spiteful Mundo.
Pure, unadulterated spite.
And then I guess the thing to talk about is, and it's a good transition point to our episode, is that we have, after the shocking revelation of Black Lotus getting kidnapped, across these 2 episodes that we're recapping to lead into the episode that we're reviewing on this episode. So that's 3 episodes in a row. No follow-up to this.
Well, not a damn thing to talk about.
So Black Lotus, she found Matanza and she was like, you have killed my father. Prepare to die, vaguely, roughly. Whatever, close enough. And then she gets kidnapped, and we get a whole episode of her being stuck, thrown in the trunk of a car, and then we end an episode where mysterious man, masked man, is like, come with me if you want all the answers. And we don't have any of the answers, and we have received 0 answers since then.
Absolutely 0. I would make a joke about Pentagon. Well, you've heard of Pentagon Cerro Miedo, but have you heard of Pentagon Cerro? But I can't remember what the Spanish.
Don't know what the word for answers is.
Damn it! I know the word for question is pregunta. I don't know answer though.
We have plenty of preguntas.
We have plenty of I have lots of preguntas. But
that's
no
our
answers,
episode. That's our episode title this week. Lots of preguntas.
Lots of preguntas. I feel like that's kind of off topic, but again, so is this entire show. So
yeah. So let's move on to
okay. Yeah, you've heard of Pentagon Cerro Miedo, but have you heard of Pentagon Cerro Respuestas? Hey,
you tried.
I really did.
Anyway, to episode Lucha Underground Season 1, Episode 19. Before we continue, let's go ahead and say how you can watch. If you're watching this and you would like to watch the episode that we watched, how
I know it's very hard to tear your eyes and ears away from our just animal magnetism that we exude on this show,
and
but
our absolutely incredible banter and references.
I know. I can imagine how appealing this entire experience is to everybody watching, and I know it's addicting. I know you just gotta have more, but if you, I do suggest trying to compel yourself to follow along with us a little bit, and Austin will tell you how.
Yes, so if you would like to watch Lucha Underground Season 1, Episode 19, Grave Consequences, or heck, all of Lucha Underground, you can go to Tubi.tv. It is essentially a free Netflix in that it has different stuff than Netflix, but it is structured exactly like Netflix, and it's free with ads. All you got to do, make an account, and you're donezo. If Tubi TV is not available in your region, or you don't want to watch the whole thing, maybe you just want to watch Grave Consequences. I get that. It's a critically acclaimed match, and trust me, it's as good as advertised. We'll get to in a second. If you just want to watch Grave Consequences, the match, you can go to YouTube, and on El Rey Network's YouTube page is the full match. They uploaded the entire 20-plus minute affair. So you can just go on YouTube and watch the match. It's pretty great. Definitely recommend it.
Lucha Underground, I have to say.
Yep. So, that having been said, I'm just going to sign off here, I guess.
Quote unquote sign off.
Yeah. We're going to do one continuous video if you're looking at it from a recording perspective. So yeah. Now we are starting the back half. We have totally just watched episode 19 again. Whatever.
Yep. Oh yeah. Why, it's so good. I think I'll have to try it a second time.
It's like the Patrick Star with the candy bar. I think I'll eat it now. And then he eats it and he's like, I think I'll eat it now. You ate my candy bar.
Yes.
Anyway. And that candy bar is Lucha. I don't know how to connect that back.
No. I mean, I was going to say something to that effect. Lucha Underground is our proverbial candy bar, which is a fair comparison. It is a treat to be here every time.
You did it better than I could.
Yeah, that's why I'm the wordy boy. Anyway, so yeah, episode was good shit.
Yes, it was very good, very very good. It was a story light episode in terms of non-wrestling matches. It's we get one promo thing, and other than that, it's match.
Yeah, one promo and one teaser.
Oh yeah, I guess they do the next week on Lucha Underground bit. So
yep, and they do advertise. I mean, we can just get out of the way. They're advertising a big card for next time, let alone all the good shit that's here for this episode. Next episode, they're doing a Puma versus.
David, lost your audio.
On.
Okay, now, there it is. You're back. You were back there for a second, then.
Wait, come on.
Okay, now you're back. I don't know why I lost you there for 5 seconds, but
okay, whatever. Okay.
I lost you while you were saying what the matches were.
Okay, restarting that phrase. So yeah, next episode. Let alone how good this episode is. The next episode is also promising to be pretty freaking great. It's going to be a rematch of Puma and Brian Cage. Presumably with Conan shenanigans thrown in there for good measure, with all these Conan promos we've been getting.
It's a Boyle Heights. It's a Boyle Heights street fight, so like he can legally use that cane now.
Oh, hey, look, they're planning for, which is funny because they describe it as like Puma has asked, no, has demanded that it be a Boyle Heights street fight, and I'm like, why?
He has to prove how tough he is.
I guess so.
This man destroyed his title belt. So they don't replaced.
Puma's so like, I mean that's the thing with Puma is like he makes for a great character in that he's so like he's there's a great drama with him being pushed around by everybody around him, but the consequence of that is like it's so hard to like set a definite character for him because he just doesn't like really react to things. So it's weird to imagine him going up and demanding this match because he feels like he needs to like be tougher. Like he doesn't seem I can't tell how affected he is by that, but I guess it's gone to his head a little bit that he needs to really prove himself.
Yeah, so it is a match for the Lucha Underground Championship
Mm-hmm.
that and then in the second match they advertised is we also get the AAA Mega Championship being defended as Alberto Del Rio against Tejano in a bull rope match where that bull rope they keep swinging at each other. That's legal now. That's going to be legal in the match.
Yes. It's that's gonna be. I'm just really looking forward to the chaos of that. Of just like these two men swinging bull ropes at each other. It's gonna be so silly, and I'm excited.
Oh yeah, gonna be great. But we start off this episode with Drago and Aerostar in the best of 5.
Match number 3.
Yes, it started at 1-1. And after that, Dario was like, hey, I like you guys wrestling. What if you wrestled some more? And we're going to retroactively say your last 2 matches were the first 2 matches in a best of 5, and the winner gets a unique opportunity.
Yep. Which
naturally, we don't know what that means.
Yeah. Personally, a Dario unique opportunity would have me running for the fucking hills and just conceding all the matches and being like, yeah, you can go handle that. But these guys, I guess, are not quite as adept at reading the writing on the wall.
As I said as I think I mentioned last time this was part of the show, is that like one of the benefits of in terms of the story being told here of the fact that nobody watches the show because it doesn't exist. Like the stuff that we see is not everything that they see. Yeah. So we know that Dario's a sketchy piece of shit. But if you're the kind of wrestler like Aerostar or Drago, who has otherwise not really dealt with any of Dario's bullshit up to this point, you don't necessarily know that he's a sketchy piece of shit. And you might take him at his word on that. I
suppose so. But he just gives us sketchy vibes, dude. He's so like, oh, I totally run this, legit fight club. But like he just feels skeezy.
I mean, he does, but they might take that to just mean like, oh, he is a legal fight club guy or whatever, and not like he's gonna actively fuck me over kind of guy.
I guess
that's 2 different levels in my book, anyway.
That's fair. But either way, so we know to be very afraid when he offers unique opportunities. They don't. So they're just going at it like good boys.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting development of this series, in that like the first 2 matches, I don't think this match gets significantly more like intense per se, but now there's like actual stakes involved to it. The first 2 matches were very much just like pure friendly competition / a little bit of career advancement, in the sake of a win would probably do you better than a loss. But now there's like a legitimate thing on the line that they are working towards. There is an active goal and not just a hypothetical one. So it makes the match feel a little bit more like meaty. Weighty is a better word I was looking for.
That's totally fair. I think like although I do like that it's still a friendly competition.
Yeah, it's not. It hasn't devolved into anything more aggressive at this point. We'll see.
Come on.
We'll see.
I like that it's friendly. I like that there's not some dumb dramatic baggage weighing it down. I just like that we get to see 2 really talented dudes face off against each other, and not feel the need to promo the fuck out of each other in order to justify it. It's just cool to see 2 dudes who get along, because it feels like it almost feels like this peek behind the curtain because, like, unless two wrestlers like legitimately do not like each other off stage, like all of what wrestling is like it's people who, you know, are friends and they go out there and they perform together, and that performance just happens to be like a very physical fake fight. And this almost, and when it's a friendly competition, it almost feels like a peek behind the curtain because it just feels like we're seeing the authentic, like these two dudes are just doing their job and they're doing it well and it's fun to watch. And for this one specifically, what I said a lot of last time that I still stand by is that this specific match felt like a dance between two people.
Yeah, this is definitely a flippy boys match indeed. Like they're
I know.
They're flying all over the place. The highlight for me was definitely Aerostar doing his trust fall into Drago.
I know. They pull off some great stuff. I still really like I always like when the wrestlers are able to, like, you know, are about to get hit from a jump from a rope, and they like roll out of the way and the person just like goes tumbling down. We got Aerostar doing a nice little belly flop onto the mat after Drago was quick enough to roll out of the way. That's always fun to see.
Yeah. And it ends with old Aerostar picking up the dub.
He does very, very honorably. In some ways, like, there's not a whole lot to say about this match, but it's just good to watch. Again, this is me repeating some of what I said, I think, on our first attempt at recording this. But like matches like these, they're such easy viewing. And I don't say that in a bad way. I say that in that they're just like abjectly pleasant to watch. There are stakes, sure, but they're not stakes that have you like absolutely losing your mind. It feels very well choreographed. It feels like a really pure artistic expression. It's matches like these that make wrestling really feel like a brilliant visual art form in a really like special way. And it just feels like I could like set it to some like chill vibes music, and just kind of zone out and vibe to it while like trying to work on stuff or something. It's just so deeply pleasant to watch, and I really enjoy that sort of thing.
And I think it serves as a nice contrast to both matches that happened on this episode later, but also definitely the main event.
I mean, it is funny that such a friendly match falls under the grave consequences episode. If anything, it feels like, you know, foreshadowing to whatever the fuck this special opportunity is going to be. But either way, it's a nice, light, fluffy start to this. A nice, pleasant thing to not have to worry too much about all of the shit going on later. You can have one match, kind of just breathing room of getting into the mood. And I really enjoy Drago personally. I've been through a lot with Drago in the episodes we've watched, so he's a personal favorite of mine. So I'm always rooting for my boy. And whatever happens, I hope he turns out okay.
Dragon Man
with a big old black tongue.
Dragon Man taking the L to Rocket Man, and I don't have the Elton John lyrics pulled up, so I can't do another Elton John sing along. I'll keep that in mind for next time.
True.
Yes. So that match happens. At this point, we get the video package of the day, where it's a lot more Conan fighting in a warehouse, but it also is Conan playing chess with Puma. That they try to make that a secret, almost like a secret reveal moment, as if that isn't the most obvious person for Conan to be playing chess with. Yeah. And then Conan kicks his ass at chess, and then he's like, as sort of a motivational thing, and then he whacks because he uses one of those chess timers, those move timers they use in like legit chess competition. Yeah. He whacks it with his cane.
You know, as goofy as these promos are getting, because like you've pointed out, this is the third time we're seeing Conan just standing in the rain in a warehouse. I it has to be a meditative thing for him. Like, some people just vibe out in the rain. That's got to be it for him, As goofy as these promos are, and it's like so over the top, and he's like, of course, playing chess while giving a motivational, slightly sinister mentor speech. Like you said last time, the Kingdom Hearts. Do you think the light will defeat the darkness? No, I think the darkness will beat the light.
A definite actual line of dialogue that happened in Kingdom Hearts.
Yep. Look, Puma got Norted. What can I say?
I remember the thing I said last time of Conan saying, of course, to Puma, roughly. So you have come this far, and still you understand nothing.
Nothing. Of course, but I will give it this: for as silly and over the top as these promos are, they are in a way effective because we can laugh at how tropey all of this feels. But they've done a good job at building up Conan as this like lingering what the hell, this guy keeps failing the vibe check and I'm not sure what to make of him sort of deal. I mean that's the thing. He keeps from episode 1 he has failed the vibe check. What have I been saying since episode 1? Sure, it's weird how much of a dick his coach is to him, but okay. Mm-hmm. And so like after all of that, having this really like, mysterious and threatening TM set of promos to be like Conan revenge is coming. It does fill you with a slight sense of dread of like there is a reckoning going to be had in some form or other. And Conan's going to be wrecking shit for said reckoning. Mm-hmm. So it's goofy, but aesthetically it is kind of effective, and it does set up in the back of your mind. Yeah, oh man, something's going to go real bad here. And I don't know how to feel about it personally.
Yeah. So then we get Big Ryck versus the Crew in an elimination tornado tag, which is rules for all three of them can gang up on him anytime they want.
Yep. I really want to see like one of the crew, or at least one of the crew, turn tail and start fighting against the other crew, and then being like, "What the fuck?"
Now, there wouldn't have that been a twist.
I would have gotten a huge kick out of that. But
yeah, but it does. The match follows this formula of like they when a Big Ryck can easily kick the shit out of any one of them. 3-on-1, they have the advantage, but then they also keep using weapons that then Big Ryck can use.
Yeah,
and kick their asses with.
They sow the seeds of their own undoing. I did mention this last time of like this specific match. It did feel a little like weirdly paced to me at first. Like the crew gang up on him, and like there's kind of an inconsistency in their power level in doing so. In that like they do topple over Big Ryck, but then like for some reason they stop ganging up on him and they just kind of take him one by one, even though they could just easily like down him in a second by ganging up on him. And then like they try ganging up on him again. He's all of a sudden able to like get the upper hand, and all of their traps fail and whatever. So it is a little like there is some like slight head scratching I did in this one of like this doesn't make a whole lot of like logical sense if you think about it for a little bit of like what their strategy for dealing with Ryck here is, and there's not really a whole lot of narrative reason for them to act this specific way, but it gets the job done and Ryck gets to have his victory, which in some ways I was almost surprised by, but also I feel like because on a show like Lucha you just feel like the heels should be getting a lot of dubs just because it gets so like gritty and whatever. But I also feel like if they did like Ryck losing to all three, it just feel like this storyline was like spinning its wheels and stalling out. So
yeah, it feels like he has to get the win eventually for the burned the eye out thing. So yeah, if the crew gets the dub here, then it does feel like we're just kind of prolonging the win that we all know is coming anyway.
Yeah. So. It does kind of add up to, of course Big Ryck gets to have his, predetermination victory on these little fuckos after he pre-confessed for beating down some fools.
He did some daredevil shit.
Yeah.
Confessing to murder before he does the murder.
Yeah, no. Thank goodness priests can't tattle for that shit. But either way, our boy Ryck slowly but surely is able to like get the drop on them, and like you said, he starts using their own weapons against them. Much in the vein of our boy Berto El Patron, he gets a hold of their signature weapon, the kendo stick, and just starts going to town.
Beats the fuck out of him. He pins Bale, and then he pins Cortez Castro, and all. Mr. Cisco is all that's left.
Still really disappointed he didn't get Bale's ass when it was sticking out right there with the kendo stick. I just wanted to solid like he was on all fours and down, and I just wanted Ryck to give a solid like boom to the ass.
Yeah,
would have been so satisfying.
Cisco tries to run away, and out comes Sexy Star to then push him back down the stairs. And
yeah.
Big Ryck was super happy to see Sexy help him out.
Yeah, the wholesome. I love this so much. So Cisco, of course, bitches out because he's a Weasley little liar, dude. But he runs up the temple stairs, and like for those of you who haven't watched yet and who continue to ignore our very sage advice that you go watch this on tubi.tv and youtube.com.gov. The image here is like there's the main ring, and then there's the bleachers, and down the aisle of the bleachers is a nice big tall staircase leading up to kind of like a second floor, an overlook.
That's where all the baby faces come out. They come down the stairs.
Yeah, they come out down the stairs. It's a nice big, pretty steep looking staircase. So he climbs up, and up at the top there's Sexy Star to meet him. And it cuts to Big Ryck for a second, and he gets the biggest, sweetest smile on his face, and all of a sudden he goes from this like vengeful, we're slightly trying to do like Mr. T / Terry Crews aesthetic here, to like insta teddy bear of just this big dude who's so happy to see this woman show up to help him wreck shit. And this is another thing where we'll get back to the match in a second, but this is another thing where I want more. I want so much more that I'm not sure we're gonna get. I want to see like a best friendship odd couple sort of thing blossom with Big Ryck and Sexy Star. I want it to be like a Kane Daniel Bryan sort of thing where they met under like weird circumstances and they just kind of like had similar interests, so they clicked and they become like best buddies, and it's really cute because it's so wholesome. Ryck is so happy to see her, and it's such a great change of pace from last time when we just had like Ryck sternly being like, no, don't touch me, I don't want to hurt you. Here he's like, yes, friend, come help. It's so sweet and made me so happy.
Mm-hmm. So then Big Ryck, he gets a hold of Cisco and does the Uranagi choke slam onto the chair, and it was gnarly because unlike usually when you do that, set up that kind of spot, it's done in a way so the chair folds back into it, folds back down. The chair didn't fold. Instead, it bent. Instead, the seat of the chair just bent. Or it looked like it was melting.
Ow! Yeah, it did. It really did. Like he throws him down into the open chair, and once Cisco hits the floor, the chair's just like the front half of like the part where you sit is just slumped over. Mm-hmm. And God, I don't know if that was rigged or what, but ow!
That has to be legit because I don't know how you'd rig it that way. That's not usually how like they do that when they rig how these chairs work. They don't do that.
I know, just ow.
But then Ryck pins Cisco off of that, and we're done.
Shocker.
Yes, then we get as they say, Matt Striker and Vampiro. Hype up next week's big championship matches. Mm-hmm. And then we get Grave Consequences, which I haven't mentioned on this episode what that means. Grave Consequences is a casket match, or excuse me, I should use Matt Striker's proper verbiage. God. It is a funerary box match. Again, as I said the first time we did, they do this really good job of like they give this whole Day of the Dead vibe to this match. They have like the people in the skeletal face paint all come out, playing the somber tone and carrying the
It's literally
coffin.
just like Hispanic AU Undertaker entrance.
Yeah, and yeah, Vampiro on commentary explaining the significance of the Day of the Dead to an audience who might be American and might not necessarily get all the same traditions.
It is kind of wild to me that like people wouldn't know what Day of the Dead is, because that's one of the most like saturated like Hispanic culture things that has seeped its way into like mainstream America.
Well, I feel like in mainstream America, it's more just like, it exists and you have to know the general aesthetic of it.
That's fair.
But Vampiro was trying to explain like the cultural beliefs of the afterlife.
That's this was pre-Coco.
The Coco hadn't come out yet. We don't know how that works.
Of course, as we all know, it's not official real culture until Disney does it.
Yep. So wrestling isn't culture until WWE is bought by Disney, is what you're saying.
Wait, no, don't manifest that. Don't you dare manifest that. If WWE is bought by Disney, I will literally off myself in Minecraft.
I will off myself in WWE 2K.
Yeah, in WWE. Yeah, that's it. I'll get in ring as like the jobberiest of jobbers and put me up against like a really roided out Rock and just be like, have your way with me, master.
And pin me.
Yeah, pin me.
Anyway,
yeah, totally.
as I was trying to get at, it was a really cool idea to have Vampiro explain that kind of cultural significance of the Day of the Dead to people who might not know about it. And I didn't catch any of it because I was too busy laughing at Matt Stryker when they bring the casket in. He goes, they are bringing in the funerary box, or a coffin, if you will.
I just want to give you guys this image too of what it was like. Austin literally was like he was like this in his camera, like even though he's wearing earphones or he's wearing headphones, he's not gonna like hear it any better if he's like tilts toward his. He's going like, hey, wait, I gotta hear this. Hey, he knew it was coming, and he was so happy.
Say the line, Stryker.
Say the line,
Funerary box. Yay!
Yeah. It always warms my heart when you have those moments of like, a thing's coming, you get so excited for it, and you're just like, you're just so satisfied. This was one of those. I got to watch you going like, come on, give it to me right into my vein.
I was very excited to hear him say funerary box because it's one of the bigger Matt Stryker memes that exists about his commentary. So
what is it with wrestling and malapropisms? I wonder.
Anyway. So we get the casket match, and Mil Muertes and Fenix come out, and it's a violent affair immediately because Mil starts taking apart. They bring out all these flowers for the display to be around the coffin, and he immediately starts grabbing them and hitting Fenix with them.
Yep, because of course the no holds barred match. Dario doesn't give a shit if one of his fighters actually dies, because Dario.
Oh, right. I don't think I explained that you win a casket match by putting your opponent in the casket. So that's how you win.
Yeah. But yeah, Dario Cueto, totally reasonable businessman, is just totally fine with like his roster being incapacitated either for indefinite periods of time or for permanent periods of time.
Yes, because in Lucha Underground lore, being put in a casket is basically literal death. It's basically dying.
Yeah. And for some reason, we're all just okay with that. But yeah, so of course, Mil.
Are you really allowed to complain about it? You're the one supporting the illegal fight club, so I guess you just have to go along with whatever happens in here.
Damn, he participate in society arguments us.
Yes, we should improve the fight club somewhat.
What? And yet you participate in the fight club. Curious.
So I am very smart.
I am very smart. The Fight Club participation fallacy. Yeah, no. It's very. We're all complicit in. We're all accessories to murder, actually, by watching this.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Legally, I am a very smart person. Who knows how the law works. Anyway. The this being that, of course, Mil, as soon as that bell rings, he's just going ham. He's not taking any of this shit. He's so fucking done with Katrina, and he's so fucking done with Fenix, and he's just like, he's really mad that he got dumped, and he wants to crush some motherfuckers over it.
It took him he took him less than 5 minutes to start ripping Fenix's mask off.
Yeah.
To the point that Fenix basically has a uncovered face.
Yeah,
for most of the
he
match.
just wanted to write a strongly worded letter to Fenix's face. You know, it just happens sometimes.
But as I said the first time, like if you're concerned about like seeing the face of a luchador, don't worry because Mil Muertes gave him a new mask, his own blood, because he unhooks one of the bottom ropes and takes like the hook they used to hook the ropes together.
Oh yeah.
And then just stabs Fenix in the face with it. And causes him to start bleeding.
Yeah, that was a big ow moment. I wasn't a fan as soon as I realized what he was doing. It was not very pleasant to have to watch.
It's wild to me that's not even the first time I've seen that spot this year.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they did it in an AEW match. Darby Allin was involved. Shock.
Yeah, okay. That is really shocking. Personally very shocked by that.
Anyway, back to this. It is a brutal match. They do some really cool visuals because whatever whatever material they used to make the casket, they made it so that the casket shell was very bendable, relatively malleable.
Yeah.
So like they do a spot where I believe Fenix is the one that gets DDT'd. He gets DDT'd into the casket, and there's just a big dent where his head was.
I know. It's so wild. I don't know why they let him get away with that.
No, it was absolutely insane.
I guess they end up the holds barred, but either way.
Yeah. No, they end up fighting into the crowd, and Mil Muertes tells the crowd to get out of the way because he's throwing Fenix off of the balcony.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Which is so funny to me that like Mil is all of a sudden concerned with their safety. Like I feel like you'd just be happy to have extra dead people around, unless you don't want competition.
I feel like the thing is he didn't want any of the other people to cushion the fall.
You know what? That is a great bit of logic, and it's my headcanon now. Yep.
But Fenix does avoid that. Thank God, because I don't know how Fenix could have made it through that one, to be honest.
Oh my God, they just go. Yeah, I was like, wait, are you seriously like about to throw down off the top of this fucking pillar? That seems like a lot.
We're about to test how supernatural Fenix actually is.
Yeah. We've been rather fast and loose. What if we've tested that hypothesis, you motherfucker?
But then they get back now to the ring. You know, Mil Muertes throws Fenix head first into the guardrails.
Yup. Multiple times. And they bend slightly, but in a way that's like, you know, we're bending as a give because we have to just by laws of physics, and it's just ow.
Yeah. If it feels like I'm mostly talking about what Mil Muertes does, it's not a one-sided squash in particular. It's just that like all the insane shit to think of that you remember Mil Muertes was doing to Fenix.
It starts off that way. It's pretty squashy toward the beginning.
Yeah, but Fenix gets a lot of time to like make comebacks.
He does.
So, and it's unfair that like I give the impression it's a bigger squash than it was, but it's just like Mil Muertes is doing so much crazy shit to Fenix.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, and because Fenix is like they play it as this is Mil Muertes in ultimate desperation mode. In some ways, this is kind of, even though spoiler alert, Mil ends up losing the match. This is kind of that reckoning I was talking about, where like he keeps losing. He's gonna come back and like roided out monster rage and just wreck shit. And like this is kind of that. Like everything he wants just falling apart. Last time he was in ring with Fenix, the ultimate disrespect was committed on him of Katrina lick of deathing him. And so he's just so done, and he just kind of wants to clean house and be like, fuck all of you. I just want revenge. So the fact that all the insane shit goes to Mil makes sense, whereas Fenix is just kind of fighting for his life, and he's more concerned with getting out of there alive because he knows how much Mil wants him dead, and he's just like, it almost feels like a self-defense versus like insane alley mugger sort of deal.
Yeah, like, but Fenix plays his part very well in this match, and it all ends out with first of all, earlier in the match, Katrina is there, and she gets a little too close.
Katrina's there for a lot of the match. She gets weirdly close for a lot of it. At one point, like, Mil's even, like, sneering in her face and, like, giving her, like, a little, like, silent fuck off, which was a great moment. I really appreciated. Like, he's pushed away a little bit from Ghost Mommy.
Yeah. Ooh. Because I guess we did mention, of course, is that technically this is weirdly a little too close to grooming if you think about it.
Yeah, don't think about it too hard. The Ghost Lady finding and mentoring a young boy who then she goes on to have a very obviously sexual relationship with.
Anyway, back to the match at hand. So at one point, Mil Muertes goes to clothesline Fenix, and Fenix ducks, and he's lays out Katrina.
Oh my god! Right on top of her, and everyone just feels awkward. They're like, oh, we didn't intend for that to happen.
Shit! But eventually, Katrina gets back up, and Fenix
learns to keep her distance, learns a little bit of personal space. Good job, bro.
She heads over to the old coffin, and she opens it up, and then so Mil and Fenix are fighting on the apron. The coffin is right below them.
Oh my god!
And it's just like, who's gonna fall in? And eventually, Fenix is able to get the upper hand, and he knocks Mil Muertes into the coffin, and then Katrina comes out, grabs the Rock, Lick of Death's the Rock, and then throws it in the casket and shuts the door and shuts the casket on Mil to give Fenix the win.
It's such a great moment.
It's all just a beautiful culmination of that entire story arc.
Yeah, it does wrap it up in a nice little bow of, like, Mil's gonna be back. He's an undead motherfucker. He's not gonna be gone forever. But he's
the man of 1,000 deaths. What's one more gonna?
What's count? One more? 1,001 deaths.
If he came back as Mil y Uno Muertes, that'd be great.
Yes, that'd be so great. The Haunted Mansion guy is like shedding a tear right now. There is always room for one more. No, but as you put it last when we first tried doing this is it's a great mid-season finale. For a little bit, our designated breeding pair gets to have a happy ending with a little bow on it, and vanquish the bad guy for a hot second. He'll be back, but for now it's almost like the first act of Into the Woods. You know what? That is not a bad comparison at all. We get the giantess Feld, and the happy romance couple is together, and what could possibly go wrong? Beanstalk keeps growing out of the back.
And famously, Into the Woods, the second act of Into the Woods is just a nice, fluffy, everybody's happy romance story.
Yeah, we're just having a good time. It's all a party.
It was a really risky writing decision to do it that way, but I guess it worked.
I know. Some crackheads out there would turn it into a whole dirge of death and despair that ultimately ends up pondering mortality and what it means to, like, be a father and have meaningful relationships with people and get everything you wished for, and but nobody's that crazy. We're just having a good time.
We didn't do any of that.
Yeah, the narrator slowly turns to the camera. To be continued.
Anyway. But yes, this was a very mid-season finale. This is a very mid-season finale.
I really want to edit now of, like, I'm sorry. I really want, as now that I'm thinking about it, I really want to do an edit of the end of this match where, like, it's like the end of Act 1 of Into the Woods, and you're like, into the woods and out of the woods, and, like, during that kind of, like, little instrumental interlude, like, we push Mil into the casket. Katrina licks the Rock, throws it in, and as, like, the caskets, like, as she's licking the Rock, we hear the narrator going, "To be continued," and happy ever after. Casket slams shut.
Oh,
I really want that now.
Gotta go make that edit.
I gotta go make that edit too.
But yeah, that is kind of our That was grave consequences. You kind of put it pretty well by reiterating what I said.
Yeah,
it's very much
pretty well.
Is this kind of like this mid-season finale vibe, and that's kind of the takeaway I want to have for this, the kind of this second attempt at covering this episode, is that it was felt very mid-season finale-y stuff. There's still plot threads to cover, but it was also several major story beats kind of ending for the time being.
Yeah, it felt like a satisfying wrap up of our big story. Our secondary story has a fun new hook, and God, I so hope they explore the friendship of Big Ryck and Sexy Star going forward, because that's such a power duo, and I would love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And we get just more of our 3 of 5 match. I really going back to the 3 of 5 match, I'm really impressed by their ability to like not make these matches feel repetitive. They're just doing like the same matchup 5 different times. You'd think that would get old really quick, but I think just by virtue of how like pleasant it is and how good workers they are, and the fact there's so little baggage, it's just fun to kind of see over and over, and knowing that there's a special opportunity waiting at the end.
They got a lot of talent. They can easily make this work for 5 without it feeling like the same thing.
Yeah, no.
But that is a wrap on Lucha Underground for now. And so next episode, we continue with our WCW arc, as we saw Kevin Nash's debut in WCW. Skip ahead about a month, and we're at Bash at the Beach 1996. Sting, Randy Savage, and Lex Luger versus Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and the third man yet to be revealed. But let me tell you something, brother. It's going to be a big one.
Yeah. We already know the punchline to this, and anybody who knows anything about the history of this knows the punchline to this.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's still gonna be a ton of fun. I know it's a super iconic moment. It's a moment I haven't gotten to officially watch yet, and that's the magic of wrestling. Is like, even if you know the ending going in, the punchline, you've had it spoiled for you in some form or other. If you haven't seen it, the visual element of wrestling, when done well, is so visceral. So viscerally engaging that it still makes it so worthwhile. I mean, again, to go back to the thing everybody's talking about in wrestling right now is like, CM Punk just debuted with AEW, and I knew the punchline to that one, but I didn't watch the episode until like last night, and when it happened, I was still reacting just as insanely, and I know this is going to be the same. Already in advance, I know when Redacted shows up to this fight next time we're here, or next week. It's gonna be incredible. So looking forward to that immensely.
Yeah, so that is our show. Now, David, you can go ahead and hit our regular plugs.
Absolutely. Alrighty, my friends. Thank you once again for joining us on yet another episode of the Noobs and Knockouts podcast. If you are a returning friend of ours, listening, watching, what have you, thank you so much for welcoming us back into your eardrums and or eyeballs. We are so delighted to have you. It's always a good time. And we look forward to having more of you in the future. If you're a watcher, whatever, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We are delighted to have you here. We at the Noobs and Knockouts podcast like to think that we are we cater to both noobs and knockouts alike. So whether you are a hardcore wrestling fan or you're just stumbling upon this wild, wacky world for the first time, we welcome you, and we are so delighted that you have decided to join us on your wrestling fandom journey. If you would like to continue to do so and you're not entirely sure how, not to worry, my friends, I got you. First of all, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. We are the Noobs and Knockouts podcast. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, make sure it turns a nice little solid color so you get notifications every time we drop a new episode. Like and comment and all that stuff. Add us to your playlist. Check out our playlist. Austin has been super, super nice enough to construct all of our storylines that we follow into playlists that we run down week after week after week. So if you want to follow any specific storyline, any specific era, any specific company, we have you covered there. You can check it all out in a row. It's super organized. It's super fun. It's a great time. Check us out on YouTube. You can also find us on 3 of the best places to find your podcast, and that would be Spotify, Apple, and Google. Give us ratings, give us downloads, give us reviews, anything to tell the platforms, tell the algorithm, tell the metrics, whatever, that we are a good show, that you enjoy us, and you think more people should enjoy us as well. We appreciate all that dank engagement. It's just music to our ears. So we would love to have you join us on whatever listening platform of your choice you prefer. You can also find us on social media, all up in the social media. Our main place we interact on social media is Twitter, as you can see right here on the screen if you're watching us. We are the Noobs and Knockouts podcast at Noobs and Knocks Pod on Twitter. That's Noobs, the letter N, Knocks Pod on Twitter. We tweet out a whole bunch of stuff. We tweet out memes. We reply to other wrestling accounts. We just love to interact with the fandom. We love to share some insights and jokes of our own. And of course, the staple of our Twitter engagement is that Austin live tweets his wrestling watching, viewing week after week after week. My friend, what is on the docket coming up?
Yes, so we have just passed SummerSlam weekend, which was a thing. I'm not discoursing about it any more than I'd like to. So, as every single week we cover, I will live tweet AEW Dynamite, 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT, or you can go, or for $5 a month, you can watch it on Fight TV if you also use a VPN. It's great. You get it commercial free. It's amazing. That's what I do. Anyway, AEW Dynamite, it is the one show I most consistently watch every single week, and hopefully I'm going to get this episode out in time for this to not be dated. So, matches for Dynamite this week. We have Malachi Black, who is a Dutch metal enthusiast who also will fucking murder somebody because he's taking on Brock Anderson, son of Arn Anderson, regular feature on this show. Malachi Black kicked Arn Anderson's head off as part of his debut in this company. And so old Brock is like, I gotta avenge my dad. And Arn is like, son, he's gonna kill you. Please don't. And Brock's like, I gotta do it. So, if his head winds up in like the next state over, that if his head winds up in Michigan because they're in Wisconsin next week, that's what's gonna happen. Now you know why.
Oh,
then
well,
we get
thank you for the heads up.
Yeah. Then we get the Varsity Blondes, who are kind of like jock bros but baby faces. They're fun against the Lucha Brothers, Penta El Cerro Miedo, aka Pentagon Jr., and Rey Fenix, aka Phoenix, from Lucha Underground in a World Tag Team Championship Eliminator Tournament semifinal. Basically, they're having a big tag tournament right now to determine who will face the Young Bucks at All Out. More on that in a minute. Then we get Red Velvet. She is an up-and-coming kind of babyface character. She kind of kicks ass. She has cake puns as well. Taking on Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter is a really good young wrestler. She is the new She is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD's newest bodyguard. And basically, she's the total hoss. She spent the pandemic getting jacked, and now she's back in AEW for the first time since the pandemic started, and poor Red Velvet is going to get killed. Not going to be a good time for Red Velvet, I guarantee it. And then, of course, Orange Cassidy, the laziest wrestler alive, maybe my favorite comedy wrestler of all time, taking on Matt Hardy, who was a legend in professional wrestling, and right now he is playing the character of sleazy, carny manager who is blatantly stealing money from his clients, but they're all cool with it because they're all a bunch of assholes. And so they're has in fight because Orange Cassidy keeps getting in fights with his clients. So he's like, you know what? I don't like you. I'll beat you up. And then, of course, let's probably, though, the thing that's to talk about coming onto this week's Dynamite. So, CM Punk, you might know who that is. We did a whole arc about him on this podcast. And this last week on AEW Rampage, He debuted. 1.3 million people saw it. It was insane. After quitting wrestling 7 years ago, a lot of people, including me, thought he was never coming back because he left so bitter and broken and just not happy. I was like, He's never coming back. But he is back. He's looking as good as he probably ever has. And he will be he will be making his Dynamite debut to build up to his match at All Out, which is a good segue to talk about how we don't just talk about Dynamite we don't just live tweet Dynamite. I also follow WWE and Impact Wrestling pretty consistently, and every time they have pay-per-views, I'm going to live tweet them. So on September the 5th is AEW All Out, where CM Punk will go one-on-one with Darby Allin, who's David's favorite emo skater boy.
Yes, he's got such good face paint. I love him.
He is a skater boy. He said, see you later, boy. Anyway, and that's going to be a pretty kick-ass match. CM Punk's first match in over 7 years. It's going to be insane. And also on that card so far, Kenny Omega, the belt collector, though down a belt right now. He is the current AEW World Champion and the current AAA Mega Champion. You know, that belt we talked about earlier. That's on Lucha Underground next time. He is those two titles. He was the Impact World Champion as well, but then he faced Christian for it on the first episode of Rampage a couple of weeks ago, and he lost to Christian. So Christian is now the Impact Champion, and that same Christian also has a match with Kenny Omega for the AEW title. So Christian's trying to make it a nice 2 for 2.
As you do.
On that one. Then we get Pac, the bastard, who is this little gremlin British motherfucker who's mad at all the time and hates everything except he's good bros with the Lucha Bros. That's some good friendships right there. And he's taking on Andrade El Idolo, who is in Andrade in WWE. He was fired as part of the 70 bazillion people they fired this year. He's in AEW because he's basically here to be like this rich asshole. He's got Chavo Guerrero with him, and they're like, Lucha Brothers, you should work for me, and then you can become champions. You will never be champions while you work for Pac. And the Lucha Brothers are like, dude, we don't work for Pac. We're just friends with him. You know, we're bros. And he's like, yes, you work for Pac.
Yeah, some real communication issues going on, you know.
Yes, so Pac and Andrade are having a match because Pac wants to kick Andrade's ass and settle this issue right now. Then we got the match everyone is waiting to see. Well, it's the Paul White. The former Big Show is stepping back in the ring against QT Marshall, everyone's favorite part of Dynamite. Please don't go on the internet and try to confirm that. Take my word for it that he is everyone's favorite part. But, you know, QT Marshall, he hangs out in bowling shirts these days looking like he belongs on The Sopranos. And he beat up Tony Schiavone's kid, who is like 40. Yeah. But it's still his son. And Paul White's like, oh, no, none of that. And so now Paul White and QT Marshall are going to have a match on pay-per-view. And then you have the Young Bucks, who are the AEW World Tag Team Champions. They basically love to They love to make references to other wrestlers and be the most obnoxious human beings alive. If you've ever seen pictures of Shawn Michaels drip in the 90s, it's that, but worse. Even worse. Just need the assless chaps. They are taking on a team yet to be decided. That's by that tournament thing I mentioned earlier. And they're going to face the winners in a steel cage match because the Young Bucks keep having all of their friends help them win matches. And they're like, and Tony Khan's like, now wait a sec. Hold on. No more of this. You're going to have this cage and everyone's going to stay out. A method that has always worked in wrestling.
Yeah, we definitely didn't see with the Hart brothers that this could ever be this could ever be done wrong. No, sir.
Yep, so that is where we're at with AEW, but what's coming up forever for WWE? They just had, as I said, they just had SummerSlam, and so their next pay-per-view will be Extreme Rules. Despite the name, that doesn't mean that every match will be an Extreme Rules match.
Yeah, you're gonna real hard stick to those guidelines, and everything's gonna be kosher.
There's going to be plenty of matches that are Extreme Rules in that they are extremely by the rules.
Anyway, I believe it.
Anyway, their next pay-per-view, that's taking place in Columbus. So, like, I thought about going to that. I don't really know yet because that's a lot of money to drop down. I just paid for WWE tickets and Green Day tickets. So,
we got to save a little bit of money, buddy.
Yeah, that's September 26th. You can watch that. I forgot to mention how you buy these pay-per-views. AEW, I'm pretty sure that their pay-per-views are still on traditional cable pay-per-view, as far as I know. I wouldn't know because I buy them through fight.tv. You make an account. That's basically you buy it. It's like anything else. And their pay-per-views their pay-per-views are $50, but there are only 4 of them a year. That's why that's how I justify making those kind of purchases. But if you are a little bit cheap, remember I mentioned the VPN route earlier. If it is $20 in other country internationally, so if you buy the pay-per-view with a VPN on, you can get it for like $20.
Yeah.
But now, WWE Extreme Rules, they don't have any matches yet because they literally haven't aired a show since SummerSlam. We're recording this Monday night before Monday Night Raw. So there's literally nothing
Actually,
to talk
Monday
about.
Night Raw should be kicking off like right now, shouldn't it?
Yeah, okay. Monday Night Raw is literally just starting. There is literally nothing to talk about with WWE past SummerSlam yet. But if you want to watch Extreme Rules, your only option is if you are in America, Peacock, it's NBC streaming service. They have exclusive American rights. And no, you can't use a VPN on the WWE network. I have learned. You used to be able to do that. I checked. They check them now. Doesn't work. It is $5 a month with ads, $10 a month without ads. You get all their pay-per-views and almost every show that we watch on this show, on this podcast is through the Peacock. So that's where you're going to go for that. But September 26th, Extreme Rules. Watch that live. And then Impact Wrestling is their next pay-per-view is not until October 23rd. It is Bound for Glory, one of their biggest shows of the year. There'll be a lot of stuff going on with that, but we're literally 2 months out from that. 2 months to today. So we got nothing on that set officially, but it's going to Impact pay-per-views are $40 on Fight TV and presumably traditional pay-per-view as well. They're always worth the money to me, but again, that is your money. I get it. It's steep asking price if you're just kind of looking into it for the first time. So that is what we're going to be on for our Twitter in the near future.
That's a lot. Oh boy. Well, my friends, be sure to check all of that out. Austin is live tweeting, absolutely rules. I enjoy watching him go off. It is quite enjoyable. You all should sit back and enjoy it as well. Just watch those tweets roll by as you watch and have someone to spend some company with while you watch these shows. Be sure to check all that out on our Twitter. It's phenomenal. Again, at Noobs and Knocks Pod. You can also email us. We have an email account, noobsandknockoutspod@gmail.com. That's noobs, the word and this time, knockoutspod@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. Tell us hi. Tell us how much you like the show. Tell us how much you don't like the show. That's your brag. I don't think personally. Tell us how much you enjoy our wonderful, sweet, dulcet tones that we deliver into your ears every single week. Tell us things you want to see on the show, recommendations for arcs, anything of that sort. We just love hearing from people. If you want to say hi, we'll be more than happy to say hi back. And finally, you can find us on Patreon. We are also the Noobs and Knockouts podcast on Patreon. $1 a month gets you early access to episodes and a shout out at the end of each episode.
Oh, right. I forgot to mention is that we have this Twitch channel right now. Now we have an official Twitch channel and not just me recording my personal shit. And so starting on Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern, because that is the best time for me to be available to do this, we are going to start doing gaming streams on this channel.
Yes.
Again, it is, if you're not watching through Twitch, Noobs and Knockouts Pod on Twitch. And we are starting this Friday with Here Comes the Pain, one of the most critically acclaimed pro wrestling games of all time. For many people, it is the greatest game of all time. And I've never played it because it's from the PS2 generation. And the earliest wrestling game I've ever played before was WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 on the 360. So I'd never played it before, but I'm very excited to try it because, again, it's a big one. It is a big deal.
It is a very big deal. Be sure to check that out too. Austin's gaming is phenomenal, and you all will get a huge kick out of his epic gamer skills.
Yes, I am so skilled with the games.
Indeed. So with all of that, we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Hasta luego.